For our trinomials where you have x squared.
No.
So quadratic is anything with an x squared in it. So underneath quadratic, I wrote an x squared so we know what it is. Now, there are important key words, and we're going to have to be able to label all the parts of a quadratic function. The first word is called a parabola. That is parabola. The graph of a quadratic function. And it looks like this. It can look like this, or it can look like this. Can everybody see now?
No.
Yes, you can. Stop.
I mean, that's very.
Alright, so what is an axis of symmetry? Just in like anything else outside of math. You've heard about it in art. You've taken an.
What's the question?
What's an axis of symmetry? Like a line of symmetry in art?
Like
What's
a
that?
graph, guys.
I took art.
But I got two
It's even on both sides. Good. Take a point, Natalie. So the axis of symmetry is the, oh, I should have done this in pink. I'm sorry. The invisible line that cuts the parabola. Parabola. What is so funny about that word? Parabola.
The name of an organ.
It is not the name of an organ. Alright, it's the invisible line that cuts the parabola in half. A fun fact about the axis of symmetry. It passes through the x-axis. Every single time it's going to go through the x-axis. And which way is x? Is it horizontal or vertical? Horizontal. Good. Take another point. Do you mean to read anything back?
Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
I'm just making sure. Alright, now what is a vertex on anything?
I think it's something like the sides.
I mean, intersect like.
Yes, and it's on like the edge, right?
Yeah, the edge, yeah.
So what is that? What does that mean? Like think about with a parabola. Where would a vertex be? This is our graph, right? This is what it looks like. Right here?
Yeah, there you go.
And then right here?
Yeah.
Yep, those are the vertex. So it is the highest or lowest point on a parabola. It's not. Are we ready or do we need a mo? What's the y-intercept?
You mean the formula?
No, just tell me what a y-intercept is.
Isn't it slope, something like that?
What is a y-intercept on any graph? The point what? No, that's the y-axis. But what axis does it cross? The y-axis. That's what I wanted you to say. The point that crosses the y-axis. Alright, so the y-intercept is the point where the parabola dummies crosses the y-axis. You need to stop and get it together.
Okay, the last
No, I just need you to stop and get it together.
Okay,
I don't care. I need you to stop and get it together.
Oh, thank you.
Again, I don't care.
Like, good.
So then it's 0. It's always 0 and a y coordinate. Always, always, always 0 and a y coordinate. Can you also put the lid on the top of that glue?
She said my diamond's complete.
She didn't. And she lied. Thank you.
You know, you got diamonds. You need our earrings.
Who are you talking to?
He's
Y'all look your way.
shouldn't be talking to anybody because we're in the middle of class.
I know the next one.
Do you know the next one?
8 times 4.
Tell me.
Intercept / roots. Something that crosses.
Okay, if the y-intercept crosses the y-axis, what does the x-intercept cross?
The x-axis.
The x-axis.
It's something that crosses.
But it has to, okay. Alright, so it is the point or points where the parabola they need to stop crosses the x-axis.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes, the point or points
Guess I get it right.
Okay.
where the parabola crosses the x-axis. It's also the solutions. And that's why it's called roots, because the roots are solutions. Just in case you didn't know that.
Hey,
A maximum? What do you think that means?
the max of it. How the capacity.
If it's the capacity, what does that mean?
How much space it has.
That's all
Okay, so if our graph, a parabola looks like this, correct? So which of these is a maximum? Is the one on the left a maximum or the one on the right? The one on the right. Yes, good. Take a point. This is the highest point, so this is a maximum. So the maximum is the highest point. The highest point on a this shaped parabola. We're going to talk about what makes that shape tomorrow.
Stop telling me this ain't gonna be easy.
Oh, it is.
But I wanna.
We're doing it step by step.
Are we gonna like ever use numbers?
Yep, we're getting to that tomorrow. So today, all we're doing is, our learning target said, I can analyze the characteristics. So I want you to be able to look at a parabola that I give you, and we're going to name all of these parts.
See, besides
That's it. That's all we're doing.
What about you? If I go to somewhere else, math teacher or some class, I'm not gonna talk like you.
You know, you kind of like have a deep.
Bro, how you gonna interrupt me,
Hold
bro?
on,
Hey,
hold on.
man.
Let me just
Me
say
and
this.
you be quiet.
See, you go.
You have, like, a
Like, if
different
I was
style.
talking, you did and kept on going by that. You can't be there. That's not fair.
Life isn't fair. Alright, so if the maximum is the highest point on an upside down parabola, what's a minimum?
I couldn't play with your words.
The lowest point. Yes, if you said the lowest point, take a point. And the parabola looks like this if you have a minimum. Does everybody have enough room to write in our little box? We all good?
I don't know who writes that big.
Well, I do. Look at this. And you would think I would learn that I don't have to because it zooms in. What do I know? Alright, so what is the domain?
Yeah.
We've been talking about domain for a
No,
while,
you gotta-
but what
you
is the
have to
domain?
Build the thing and then you have to pick out 2 numbers or something like that.
Kind
Add
of.
up everything.
Yeah, you add up
then
everything.
divide it
Nope,
by
that's the
number.
average.
Oh yeah.
So on a graph, what's the domain? It's either the X or the Y.
Oh, it's an X.
The domain is the X. Good, take a point. So the domain, the X values that you can plug in to a quadratic. And I'm doing these in different colors because these are very important, the domain and range. Alright, so if the domain is the X values that you plug in, what's the range? The Y values that you get out. Good, both of you take a point. Alright, so the range is the Y values you get out.
Man, I hope we have something good for my shit.
Are we ready? Okay. Are we ready now?
She's like a lady.
Is anybody not ready? Mary, are you ready? Okay. All right, flip page.
Oh, bet. I got it wrong.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use our keywords and we're going to identify parts of each quadratic using the keywords from the previous page. This is a parabola. Now, the axis of symmetry is where it cuts it in half. So, do you think it's going to cut this graph in half here?
Nope.
Where do you think it's going to cut the graph in
In the
half?
middle.
Right here? Okay, so what point is that? Ooh, we can't see those lines, can we?
The lowest point.
Hey,
Maximum.
it's 1.
Oh. That's the minimum point.
Alright, so it's this line right here, correct?
Yeah, the minimum.
And normally you'd put a dotted line, but I needed to make that solid so we could actually see.
I get the right.
Positivo, uno, negativo, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so, but, I asked for the axis, yes, but no. The axis of symmetry just says x equals. Now, where does it pass through the x-axis? What is this point right here? Well, let's call it 1 then. How does that sound? We're going to go with 1. Is everybody with me? So axis of symmetry, it passes through the x-axis and it's just x equals. And let's write that on the front so that we know when we're using our axis of symmetry, we just write x equals. X equals a number. Every single time, x equals a number for axis of symmetry. Now, our vertex is this lowest point. So this is 1, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1, negative 4.
Can you do it again?
Yep. It's always part of your axis of symmetry, which is right 1, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4.
Is this geometry?
No?
We need to see that. Can you do shit?
So we just counted to the point. This point is our vertex, so you just count to get to that point.
I thought it was that in the middle for mine.
This is the axis of symmetry.
Geometry harder.
They scary.
Alright, now, where does it cross the y-axis? Which one is the y-axis? So this is x, this is y, and where does it cross the y-axis? Negativo 3. So we wrote on the front that it's always 0 and then a number.
Oh, I was right.
Is everybody with me? You're not? Are you sure? Because all we're doing is we're finding the parts and labeling it, right? So this is my y-intercept. This point right here is my vertex. This line is my axis of symmetry. So all we're doing is we're identifying the characteristics and we're labeling it. That's it. That's all we're doing.
So moves on the x-axis would be 0.
You tell me. This point right here is one of our x-intercepts, right? What is that? If this is 1, then that would be 2, and that would be
3.
So that one is 3, 0. Take a point. So that's one of our x-intercepts. And how many do we have? How many times does this cross the x-axis? Twice. And what's this one?
Oh, you just labeling all the.
That's it. That's all we're doing is labeling the points. We're not doing anything crazy, are we?
Not yet.
Today, this is all we're doing. Tomorrow, we're going to graph. Today, we are just labeling the points.
Yeah, today, yeah.
All right, is this a maximum or minimum? Does anybody need me to pause for a second?
This is a minimum.
Minimum, because it's the lowest point. Do I need to pause or are we ready? Okay. Alright, now the last thing it asks for are the domain and range. Now, your domain, do you think we would have any x value? As this gets bigger, it's going to keep going, right? As we keep going up, it's going to keep going, and it's going to keep getting wider. So your domains can be any x value. So that's all real numbers.
All real numbers?
Yes?
Hold on, can you do that one more time?
Yep, that's fine. So you're looking at your graph, and if you start here, just imagine this side. As we go to the right, we're using all of these x values, aren't we? And our graph is going to keep going forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and it's going to keep getting wider as it keeps going up. So you're going to keep having all of these x values. Now do the same thing on the left. We have all of these x values so far, and then we're going to keep going up, and it's going to keep using all of those x values. So it's all real numbers, because you don't have a limit to what you can plug in on the x-axis. Now, for our y's, do we have any point on our parabola below our vertex?
Yep.
Do we have a point down here
Oh, no.
on our graph? Do we have a point down here on our graph?
No.
What about down here?
No.
But we have everything above this point, right? What was this point?
Vertex.
What did we say our vertex was?
Oh.
So that means your range is y. And that's how you write it. Everybody brace yourself. When
That's definitely.
y is greater than or equal to -4.
Okay. You probably believe this a lot.
Hey, David, can you shut that door for me, please? Just pull it cracked. Thank you. That's perfect. Now, let's go over again how we got this. This is how you write it. This says y when y is greater than or equal to -4. The reason we did that, and I got to move my sheet up. So is everybody done writing, or do we need a mo? We got to learn how to write faster. Sweet potatoes. Yo también. Super hungry. I don't know how to say that, but I'm super hungry.
Muy hambrienta.
Yep. Alright, Sarah, are you ready?
La maestra Maje.
Alright, so your range. Again, your range is all your y values, which means all of the y values that this graph hits. So it starts at -4, correct? And then it goes up, 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 up. So we can't have any value below -4. So our y value is going to be any of these numbers above -4. And that's why I wrote it that way. All right? Try the next one without me.
Ay, no, mi.
Do all of them except for domain and range. Do the axis of symmetry, vertex, y-intercept, x-intercept. You can do it. Don't be a baby.
You gonna take training wheels off that quick?
It does.
Yo no understand nothing.
No, yo tampoco.
You don't understand nothing?
Simple.
I'm not ashamed.
The axis of symmetry is where it cuts it in half. She did. She just did it. Now, go to the highest point of your graph. Okay? Draw a vertical dotted line through this highest point.
Yay.
Boom, axis of symmetry. Now, where does it cross the x-axis? Aquí.
Negativo 8.
Aquí.
You want to say it in English?
Oh, negativo.
Aquí is here.
Oh.
-1. And also, I'm pointing there, baby.
Aquí.
Okay. Is it? All right. Is everybody with me on how I got that? So to get your axis of symmetry, start at the top, draw a vertical line, see where it passes the x-axis. Does everybody understand now?
How you find the vertices again?
We not there yet. We not there yet, baby cakes. We still on axis of symmetry. Por qué no?
No, yes.
Why back? Why back?
Okay, what is the axis?
Oh, we're,
Oh, okay.
that's, okay. The axis of symmetry. Boy, I'm explaining it. The axis of symmetry is the invisible line that cuts the parabola in half, and it passes through the x-axis. Okay? Is everybody with me on what this means? So then, I went to the highest point on my graph, and I cut this beautiful thing in half. I took a knife, I cut it in half. It hit the x-axis at -1.
Oh, okay. So the line would be.
Negativo
See?
1.
No?
Siemens. Allí sí ahorita.
Are you sure? Maybe?
Siemens.
Okay.
Maybe.
Now, the vertex, which is this point right here, do not say anything. You go left 1 and up how many to get to that point?
So -1, 8.
8. So your vertex is -1, 8.
So it's been like regular graph.
Yes.
Red.
Are you with me, Mackenzie? Why? What part? Okay. So the vertex is the highest point, correct? So then all I did was I found the coordinates of that point. So to get there, I have to go left 1, up 8. That's it. That's all I did.
Clean off them shoulders.
Yes, because that's where that point is. Yes, ma'am? Okay. Now the y-intercept. Do not say anything. Is where it crosses the y-axis. So that's this point right here. So would we go left or right any to get to this point?
Nope.
So that's 0. And then how high do we go up?
6. 8.
We're right here at this pink point.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Okay. You must be going.
I did. I said the y-intercept. You just weren't listening. And I highlighted it in a different color. You weren't paying attention? That's not paying attention. Yes. Take a point for him so he'll get off my nerves. All right, now, the x-intercept. And we're going to flip back. And we're going to read what it says about the x-intercept. The point or points where the parabola crosses which axis? The x-axis. How many times does this graph cross the x-axis? Ew, hush. I know. 1, 2. Okay? So let's start with the one on the right. How do we get to this point? How do we get to this point? Do we go left 1? Do we go right 1? What do we do? The point that I'm pointing is
1 means.
1, 0.
1-0.
1, 0.
And then you got
No, 0, 1 would be aquí.
Okay, pues 1-0.
It's not.
0-1, lo que sea, ya.
Ignore him. Okay, does everybody see how we got 1, 0?
I said you got -3.
Now we need to go to the other one, which would be -3, 0.
Máximo.
Okay, what about the y-axis?
We already did that. It's the pink dot.
No, I'm talking that way. I'm talking like I got -260.
Negative 262.
I'm not, I got negative 2.6.
Okay,
So, did
that's
the
this
other-
point right
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now, that does not cross the y-intercept. There is only one point that crosses the y-intercept,
Oh, so don't
and
put
it's
that one
right
down.
here.
Don't put that one
No, you only have one for the y-intercept.
Then why did you have that on there?
Because it's a, okay, parabola, which we're going to discuss tomorrow, means that it's the same on both sides. So if you have a point right here, that means that you have to have a point 1 unit away at the same y value. Because it's the same on both sides, which is why we have an axis of symmetry. Alright, is this a maximum or minimum?
Maximum.
Maximum.
Let's go.
Hey, you like already tell.
Yes.
Looking at the problem is gonna be a maximum.
If it's a mountain, it's a maximum. If it's a U, it's a minimum.
Todos son reales.
Alright, domain. Can we plug in any x value?
¿Sí?
So it's all real numbers.
Oh, y'all gotta do that too.
Y, compadre, Y.
What if it's not all real numbers?
It will be.
Oh, I'm sorry, all we should put there then.
Un rayo así.
Alright, now the range.
Y.
Stop. You write the squiggy, and then I want you to write y, when, y. Now, is our graph going up,
Menos.
or is it... Stop, Jorge.
It's going down.
If I have to tell you again, I'm going to take off points.
I said I made a box so I can write these down.
Alright, is it going up, or is it going down?
So, let's get
So it's going to be less than or equal to... Now, what's our highest point? 8. And then you're done. That's it. That's all you have to do. Does everybody
I
understand?
got no homework tonight too.
Your homework is 2 pages in the drawer. Top drawer, 2 pages. Maybe it's 1 page. Hand it to me. Hand me something. Algebra B. Oh, it's 1 page, front and back. Isn't that exciting?
No, mi.
Yep, it says Algebra B. It has a bunch of graphs on it. Read the directions. Read the directions. Read the directions. That goes back on that. No, that's your Algebra B thing. It goes back on the papers.
This is a wrap.
1 per person.
Whole wrap.
1 per person.